speaking to you tonight in a moment of solidarity and, again, one of good spirits and peace. This is not always true when we try to have progressive discussions on this campus. When I came here in 2002 from Howard University, I was addressing a group of young men, and we received a bomb threat. We were having a lecture in the building behind us in the duct. The issues that we get at, especially I think in fields or disciplines like African American studies, cause the possibility or enable the possibility for dramatic shifts in power, and they shake up institutions. I like to think that the humanities as a whole really helps with this conversation or helps with this process, but it is a relationship fraught with danger and risk, and I don't want to say to you that that's not a part also of what we are embarking upon in our new journey. And I speak about our new journey as in this place that we would like to move our institution in the direction of. I came to college and there was an aggressive anti-apartheid movement underway. Students were building shanties in front of the president's office. They were occupying buildings. I went to a school that had what was called the Malcolm X House. It's still called the Malcolm X House to this day. It was the center, or for me, it was the focal point of radical organizing. I hope that you all are inspired by what's going on around you today to return to some of the radical politics and to make reconnections to many of the gestures, the drama, the sensibility, the spirit of people who have gone before you. I hope that reconnection can take place and be quite positive. I just wanted to say one more thing, very specifically about what's sort of gone on over the last couple of weeks. I hope that if Jim Wagner had asked me, Lawrence Jackson, professor in English and African American Studies, to read his draft of the article, I hope that I would have said to him, well, look, this doesn't make sense to me, or I think that this is you might be off on the wrong foot. It might be easy for me to do so because at this point, and my children are somewhere in the background, but I'm accompanied tonight by sort of the next generation. It might be easy for me because at this point, I know the names of people like Granville Hundley and Charity Hundley and Edward Jackson and Celestia Jackson and Sandy Dickinson and Jenny Dickinson and Lewis Waller. And these people were actually the 3/5 compromise people. They are my direct line ancestors. Most of them spent the majority of their lives in slavery. 4 of the people that I mentioned were sold and their families were destroyed before the Civil War took place. So it's almost impossible for me to think of them and to think of myself as some kind of fraction, a fraction of a citizen, a fraction of a human being, a fraction of a historical actor who has contributed and sacrificed for the nation that we're standing in. So I guess I want to say that I would have known better, but I want you all to work as hard as you can so that we not only know better, but that we actively do better, and that we demand the best from the people who are in the position of authority. And I just want to conclude by saying, you all inspire me. It's inspirational to be in your company and to hear what you have to say about the things that we absolutely have to work on to make this a livable campus and university. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jackson. Now we welcome Navjot Gill, a doctoral candidate in the history department, working on caste politics and the division of labor in colonial Punjab. and an organizer with the Student Revisioning Committee, speaking on the racialization of Emory cuts.
Can everybody hear me? Yeah. There is a problem here at Emory. What brought all of us together today is what appears to be the latest in a series of blunders by the administration. From exploitive labor practices to the suppressing of dissent, the dishonesty of admissions, the ignoring of racism, the drastic cuts to programs, and the latest comments by President Wagner, Emory is all the more prominent for all the wrong reasons. In fact, last semester around this time, opposition to the sweeping and unilateral academic cuts announced on September 14th animated our campus. It was to these very cuts that President Wagner referred to in his infamous article. One indication of what these cuts are all about is through the logic of proportion. Whenever people in power attempt to implement narrow-minded and regressive decisions, they always present them as neutral, efficient, responsible, prudent, inevitable, or especially in this case, in the pursuit of eminence. Yet when we use the critical faculties that are the central purpose of a university, when we examine the details, when we read and discuss carefully, when we analyze the processes, we see that these cuts were far from neutral. As you all know, the cuts target the Division of Educational Studies, the Department of Visual Arts, the Journalism Program, the Institute for the Liberal Arts, the Department of Physical Education, the graduate programs in Economics and Spanish, as well as some language instruction in Russian, Farsi, and Hindi Urdu. Taken together, these programs contain some of the highest numbers of students of color and from abroad. Just two examples. 25% of ILA students are minorities, while 40% of students in the DES are African American, the highest population of any department in the university. In terms of faculty, whereas only 15% of the total university faculty are of color, the cut departments contain anywhere from 20 to 48% faculty of color. And the decision to make these cuts was made by a group of 8 white people, 6 of which were men. In other words, these cuts disproportionately impact people of color, students, faculty, and the departments that have a vital role in communities across Atlanta. Now, to make sense of what this means, contrast it with another glaringly disproportionate relation in our society. Take, for example, U.S. incarceration rates. While African Americans are 14% of the general population, they are 40% of the prison population. Now, unless one is hopeless and ignorant, it is clear that issues of poverty, criminality, and the justice system are far from neutral, but instead are deeply implicated in a politics of race and racism. The further question to ask, however, is that if African Americans are 14% of the general population, and they came to constitute 14% of the prison population, would the problem be solved? Would proportional representation in prisons be the answer to the contradictions of poverty, crime, and justice? This is where President Wagner's comments are actually illuminating. What he said in praise of the decision of a few white property-owning men to quantify the humanity of slaves as 3/5 is not merely clumsy and insensitive. It also contains an insight into how the administration understands governance and the process of decision-making. President Wagner's use of the 3/5 example unwittingly draws a parallel between the actions of those in power. In this case, in mobilizing against the cuts, the Student Revisioning Committee organized 3 major public demonstrations, wrote scores of op-ed pieces in different publications, sent letters, requests, and petitions, met and spoke with administrators for hours, garnered local and national media coverage, and held a 7-hour sit-in at the administration building. In response, the administration listened, shrugged, and proceeded to do exactly what they set out to do. This is what the language of dialogue and compromise is designed to conceal. The disparities of power that exclude, in this case, students from meaningful participation in how our university operates. President Wagner's error was therefore not only an odious comparison, but an honest revelation. And it is the profound lack of vision that allows him to both make the mistake and then apologize to deny the truth. Indeed, by their own words, the administration acknowledges that they do not have the right set of eyes to edit their own publications. While I agree that they are profoundly inadequate, these issues involve more than simply iris color and skin pigmentation. So there are problems at Emory. What is needed is a movement of people in a range of capacities to come together to think through a different way of identifying priorities, addressing needs as well as aspirations, and implementing sound policies. We need a project of revisioning to democratize our university. And for that, what this latest uproar demonstrates is that we are probably better off attempting this difficult task without the current administration.
She is the chair of Student Concerns for College Council and has been working with SGA President Ashish Gandhi on restructuring the general education requirements.
My name is Nicole Blumenthal, and I'm a senior in the college and the chair of Student Concerns for Emory's College Council. I'd like to start off first by commending everyone here for their willingness to support a rally aimed at developing a better Emory and supporting growth within our community. In light of recent events, like those that have brought us here tonight, it is sometimes difficult to remember that the best response is one that is constructive. I encourage everyone here to remind their friends, family, peers, and colleagues that an action done out of a lack of cultural understanding requires a reaction that serves to enhance such an understanding, as opposed to ridicule or silence members in our community. So how can we enhance cultural understanding on campus? Emory College Council and the Student Government Association are working to create a better understanding of diversity among Emory College students. After meeting with discussion groups and brainstorming ideas, we are interested in pursuing an initiative that would alter the current general education requirements. This initiative would seek to replace one current history, society, and cultures requirement with a global citizenship requirement designated GC. The global citizenship requirement would be designed to provide college students with background knowledge and the analytical skills to understand and respect differences between identity groups. It will enable students to develop a comprehensive understanding of human diversity through a focus on groups who have historically been underrepresented in the curriculum. The classes that would fulfill this requirement already exist in the current course offerings. We believe that such a requirement would expose Emory College students to a more diverse curriculum and provide greater breadth and depth to the liberal arts experience. In the coming weeks, I intend to have a formal petition for this curricular change sent out to all Emory College students, as well as the department heads for a variety of disciplines within the college. I ask in advance that you do not disregard this document, but rather read it in its entirety and respond directly with any concerns or feedback you might have. Following the distribution of this document, I will be calling for the support of students and faculty to sign the proposed changes. If the changes receive enough support, I will make an effort to present the petition to the Emory College Educational Policy Committee, of which I am an active and voting member, during its third and final meeting of the semester on Thursday, March 28th. I would like to conclude by letting everyone know that I am not ashamed to be an Emory student. In fact, I'm quite proud. I'm proud to be at an institution where students can openly speak about these issues. I'm proud that Emory has begun developing more physical and metaphorical spaces, such as this one, for us to do so. I'm proud to be at a school where critical thought is encouraged, even when it does spark controversy. And most importantly, I'm humbled by how much I have learned from my peers, in part because Emory attracts a diverse group of students with a variety of unique perspectives. While the sum of all of our unique perspectives and life experiences may in fact cohesively culminate into a complete set of knowledges, let us remember that each of us, individually, has much to learn from others. The mistakes made, the recent events that brought us here tonight, are the result of a lack of understanding and incomplete knowledge.